Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the neck shaping portion of knitting a top-down raglan sweater using German short rows. Short rows are what allow the back of the neckline to sit higher than the front, creating a much more comfortable and natural fit. In this video, I'll show you how German short rows work, where they're placed in the yoke, and how they shape the neckline as the sweater grows. As you know, I'm working on the baby sweater knitting pattern, which I've linked in the description box below. Knitting a sweater at a smaller scale like this is a great way to practice techniques such as short rows without feeling overwhelmed, and the concepts you learn here translate directly to adult-sized sweaters as well. In this pattern, I'm working make one left and make one right increases. For row 1, I work the increases at each raglan stitch, then knit to the next raglan marker, and work the increases there as well. Follow your written pattern instructions for the type of increases you'll work at the raglan stitches. Remember that these are short rows rather than knitting all the way around. This means I'll turn my work early and begin working back across the stitches on the wrong side of the fabric when the pattern indicates. After working the amount of increases the pattern states for row 1, I continue knitting past the raglan stitch by 2 stitches. Keep in mind that the spacing can vary from pattern to pattern, so be sure to read your instructions carefully. At this point, it's time to turn the work. Now I'm going to form the German short row. To do this, I'll slip the first stitch from the left needle onto the right needle. Then, with the working yarn, I'll pull the yarn up and over the needle, which creates a double stitch. This double stitch marks the turning point of the short row and replaces the need for a traditional wrap. Next, I'll bring the working yarn to the front, since the pattern instructions call for me to purl back. From here, I'll purl across the stitches until I reach the end of the round stitch marker. As I come to the raglan markers, I'll simply slip them and continue purling without working any increases on this return row. Neck shaping can feel a little tricky at first, especially if you're new to sweater construction, so it's important to follow your written pattern instructions closely as you work through this section. Once I reach the end of the round marker, I'll work the indicated increases around the raglan stitch, then continue purling across to the next few raglan markers and work increases there as well. As you can see, I'm working make one left and make one right increases around this raglan stitch, as directed by the pattern. As I mentioned before, the exact placement and spacing will depend on your pattern, but here I'm working increases around several raglan stitches to build depth at the shoulders and back before turning again. Essentially, this process adds depth to the shoulders and back of the sweater while keeping the front neckline shallower, creating a gentle curve at the front for a more comfortable fit. After completing the increases as instructed in the pattern, I'll purl a few stitches past the raglan. For this particular pattern, that means purling 2 stitches. Just like before, I'll turn my work now that this short row is complete, and I'll be working on the right side of the fabric. To form the German short row stitch, I'll bring the working yarn to the front, then slip the first stitch from the left needle onto the right needle. I'll pull the yarn up and over the needle, creating a double stitch that marks the turning point of the short row. From here, I'll simply follow the pattern instructions. For this particular pattern, I'll knit back to the end of the round stitch marker, slipping over any stitch markers as I come to them, and not working any increases on this return row. We've now completed one full set of German short rows, which adds depth to the shoulders and back of the sweater. This sequence is worked over multiple turns on the right side, the wrong side, and then the right side again, and together it creates the shaping needed for a comfortable neckline. You'll continue working the short rows in the same manner, following the pattern instructions. Right now, I'm working the next row repeat, and here I'll show you how to locate the German short row stitch, and then how to knit or purl it correctly when you reach it. Now we've reached the German short row stitch. You can identify it because it appears as a single stitch with two strands sitting together on the needle. When you come to it, you'll simply knit into it as you would a normal stitch, making sure to work through both strands and not drop either loop. After that, you'll continue exactly as before, turning the work, slipping the first stitch to the other needle, and pulling the yarn up and over to create the next German short row stitch. From here, you'll continue following the pattern instructions in the same way as before. In this case, my written pattern instructions tell me to work to the end of the round stitch marker, then begin working increases around a few of the raglan stitches before reaching the next German short row stitch. I've now reached my end of the round stitch marker. As you can see, I'm still working the required increases around the raglan stitches on this row, continuing to add depth to the shoulders and back. I'm essentially working my way toward the German short row stitch created in the previous section. German short rows can feel a bit awkward at first, but once you've worked a few, they start to feel very rhythmic. It can be helpful to pause and visually check your work as you go, especially when locating the double stitches. Remember, short rows are doing the work of shaping here. Even if it doesn't look dramatic yet, you'll see the curve form as the yoke grows. This is one of those sections where trusting the process really pays off, even if the shaping isn't obvious yet. Now that I've worked the required increases around the raglan stitches as directed by the pattern, I've reached the next German short row stitch. You can identify it because it looks like a single stitch with two strands held together on the needle. Since I'm on the wrong side of the fabric here, I'll purl it as if it's a normal stitch, making sure not to separate or drop either loop. Just like before, I'll work a few stitches past the German short row stitch, however many the pattern specifies before turning the work. After turning, I'll create a new German short row stitch by slipping the first stitch onto the right needle and pulling the yarn up and over, forming the double stitch. From there, I'll continue following the pattern instructions, which for this pattern means working back to the end of the round stitch marker to complete another set of German short rows. For this pattern and for most top-down raglan sweaters, you'll continue working additional sets of short rows to build depth at the shoulders and back. As always, be sure to follow the specific instructions in your pattern, as they'll guide you on how many short rows to work and where to place them. Short rows can feel a little intimidating at first, especially if you're new to sweater shaping. But I hope this video helped make the process feel clearer and more approachable. Take your time, refer back to your pattern as needed, and trust that the shaping will come together as you work through it. In the next video in this series, we'll move on to working the yoke, separating the body from the sleeves, and beginning the body of the sweater. I'll see you there, and happy knitting!